All right, here we go. So this is the second match of the season, only 3 days after the first match. We play Real Madrid here at home. And as you can see right there, it just went off the screen. We have a heavily rotated squad. Normally, I wouldn't want to do it for a match this big, but we play Manchester City next, and I want to make sure that our guys have at least a little bit of time to rest. So we're in and up among those who've already won our first match, and who have 3 points so far. We'll see how we do in this one. Of course, we have Pele on the bench, we have Maradona on the bench, and all the other stars. So just in case something strange happens, we can pull somebody on, and it will probably be okay. Martinez with it over to Eriksson. Eriksson back to Martinez, and it's up to Giggs. Martinez now, so Giggs playing at that left wing back side, goes to Lev Yashin, back to Martinez. Over to Giggs, and he'll bring this up left side, and he's fouled right away. So I haven't looked very closely at some of these other teams to see just what we're looking at in terms of legendary players, but I can certainly believe that Real Madrid is going to be a very formidable opponent. I think that they're actually picked to finish above us in the league. And so we'll see what happens here. That was Camavinga with it. We all know about him. Sancho ends up turning around at that and then passing over to Rashford, playing on the right wing-back side. So it's over to Pogba, then to Rashford, back to Monzeglio. Monzeglio with it. He was looking for Eriksson. That was a really poor pass, and this might turn into a problem. It was Eriksson. He came back to deflect that to force a corner. So it worked out a little bit better than I was worried, but we'll see what we can do here. Brahim takes the corner, and it's Mason Mount, who knocks that out, and then he goes all the way over and wins it. Over to Eriksson, then back to Martinez. Martinez passes this down, and I'm not sure what happened there, but we ended the highlight very quickly. And now we need to play defense once again. It ends up over on the right side, our left. De Vici, who's in there with I guess he was a substitute in the last match, but his first start is able to win that, but our counterattack ends up falling apart. And there is Rashford, finally, who wins this and then runs up ahead of everybody else. Look at the pace. And looking to cross it, and he does, finds Bruno Fernandes, who's not going to miss from there. And it's 1-0 for Manchester United. So the counterattack game ends up paying off. And you'll notice that at least here in the early going in these two matches, or one in a percentage of one, we haven't had that much possession. You know, what we've done is when we get the ball, we run up the other end of the pitch and we score a goal. And then we let them have possession again and see if we can't go do the same thing. So 1-0 for Manchester United. Giggs over looking for Mount, just can't find him. And it's Eriksson who wins that over to Pogba. Pogba and his, I guess that was an attempt at a shot. It looked like he lost control of it, actually. Ends up being grabbed by their keeper. Here's a throw from Monzeglio over to Rashford. Rashford, right side, and there's a good cross, but there's nobody there on the other end of it. Monzeglio wins this over to Pogba, back to Monzeglio to Sancho. Jadon Sancho to Monzeglio, over to De Vici, over to Pogba. Pogba to Sancho. Sancho looking for Pogba again, can't find him. Monzeglio, and there is Eriksson behind the defense, and he scores a goal that makes it 2-0 for United. So Christian Eriksen scores on his debut. That is his debut for us, his first match. And man, oh man, look at the fans standing up and cheering for that. 2-0 for United for this extremely strong United squad. It's funny because none of our players are selected to finish with the Golden Boot. The press doesn't think that we'll end up finishing in first place. They don't think we'll win the Champions League. They don't think we're going to win much of anything. But I think that this performance we've had, at least so far in the first two matches, shows that we're a force to be reckoned with. And if we end up winning this match, it will show you that we have two very good teams and that we can mix and match them whenever we need to. Lev Yashin with it, throws over to Monzeglio, over to Pogba, to Eriksson. Eriksson to Mount. And this is lumped forward to Rashford. Now we got numbers. And Rashford goes and takes a shot. Unfortunately, can't quite get that one down goalward, and it ends up with Real Madrid. Lev Yashin, body language says professional. It's the first time I think I've ever seen that. Monzeglio over to Pogba. It's because I'm used to playing at the very low end where it's anything but professional. Bruno Fernandes here is behind the defense and takes a shot on goal that unfortunately is saved by their keeper. Very, very good keeper there for Real Madrid. And Monzeglio ends up grabbing over to Pogba to Mount, and it just misses him. And so that's the end of that. But this was excellent. You look at this counter-attack here. I mean, Rashford just takes it up himself. And then finally, at the end, passes it over to Fernandes, and Fernandes has the ability to just knock that one in the goal if necessary. Unfortunately, it does draw a very good save in the end. Martinez over to Fernandes. Fernandes up to Giggs, and now we're running down to Fernandes again. And he lumps us all the way over for Rashford. Where's the cross? Where's the cross? There it is. And it's over to Eriksson. His header is just off target and not quite there. We have about 4 or 5 guys there waiting for a cross, waiting and pleading and begging for it to come towards them because they want to be the next star. 2-0 still for Manchester United, and we're not done yet. Giggs, Martinez. Martinez brings it up left side. Still Martinez. Over to Eriksson. Eriksson back to Giggs. And Giggs over to Rashford, who really looked close to scoring. I think, though, that was going to be off line no matter what. And the force of that header kind of knocked their keeper back a little bit. I was thinking for a second he might be crossing the line. Then I saw, no, he wasn't quite lined up with the goal. And so it is. Now we have to win the ball back, and Ryan Giggs does a beautiful job of doing that. I think that we're underrated in part because some of these guys show up as like 17, 18 years old, and so the game doesn't know what to do with an 18-year-old who's as good as most other adults, or is not going to recognize it or something like that. You know how Football Manager is with all this talk about a person's reputation and on and on. Pogba with it over to Giggs. Giggs again. Brings it up left side. Over looking for Pogba, can't find him. Pogba runs back and grabs it, and then this is popped up for a Courtois, who grabs it with his hands, and that does that. So we go here to halftime up 2-0, and that's what we like to see. We're very happy with the number of shots so far. I'm only a little bit worried about Jadon Sancho, but we're going to let him stay out for a little bit longer, see if he's not going to have a better match and a better performance than that. And hopefully we'll be able to have something better happen here than happened in this morning's match with FC Mars. Because that was a real shame and a real bummer. Brahim over to Sancho, ends up winning that in the end. Very, very good job. Knocks this forward for Eriksson. There's Eriksson. Over for Fernandes, who's behind the defense, and he scores the goal. 3-0 for Manchester United. And, is it really that easy? I guess it is. I came into this thinking this is going to be such a big challenge and we're never going to get this to work or that to work or whatever. And all we've done is we've turned around and scored goals like crazy. And we have more coming hopefully tomorrow against City. So Fernandes is able to get behind the defense and no one's going to stop him. And that's a real easy goal. And then all the fists come up, and it's 3-0 for Manchester United. And we have definitely announced our presence. Surprised that Jadon Sancho doesn't end up getting a little bit of credit in terms of his rating for all that work he just did. But so it is with Football Manager. You never know. Camavinga takes the shot. I don't know how he missed that one. And that's the guy who always gives you a heart attack when he has that ball in midfield. Brahim now knocks this one forward, and we're not quite able to win it. It's with Vini Junior, and he knocks that over everyone's head. And that's out for another goal kick. So we got about, 30 minutes left of this match. Sancho's still having a bad time of it, but fitness levels seem to be okay. I guess we'll let these guys go ahead and play out anyway, even if they're not playing all that well. Monseglio up to Sancho to Rashford. Here comes Rashford, and he goes back to Sancho, to Fernandes, to Eriksson. Man, Bruno Fernandes just sets him up so beautifully, and unfortunately that was deflected to go out. But I look at stuff like that, and I think, so does Sancho not get credit for all that? It's back out for another corner. That one was violently headed back behind the line by the Real Madrid defense, and this one is headed back, this time over to Eriksson, again by a different defender. And he will play it back to Martinez, and we get back into formation. Martinez with it ends up losing possession, and then we lost the highlight. Here they are with a free kick, Alaba, and Lev Yashin is able to get onto that and somehow recovers and grabs another one. I don't know how he did that. So we'll look at this again. There's the free kick. Normally that goes in. He gets it at the last second, and then somehow has the time and the presence of mind to get up and to make the second save, and it is still 3-0 for us. That's the reason why he's starting. That's the reason why we're not starting anybody else. We're getting a little bit tired. I'm trying to think that hopefully Mount can stay with it, but we may need to make a substitution. And so we're going to make a little bit of a change. We'll go ahead and put Dennis Law on for Mount. And Eriksson will probably come off. I think in Casemiro, we're going to have him go on. And we'll see what we can do here for the final 10 minutes. Here's Fernandes with the kick. Looking for Martinez. Couldn't quite find him. It's with Giggs. Giggs back to Sancho. And poor first touch by Jadon Sancho, and that led to that ball being won by the defense. And Rashford goes over and gets it to Monseglio, over to De Vici. De Vici over to Giggs, and Giggs is probably a little bit too short to win that one. And there's the goal, and it's Emilio Butragueno who scores. And that was pretty poor job there by us in the back, I would say. And at some point in time, I mean, there's just nothing we can do about this. He's onside, and Lev Yashin does his best to get in front of that one, but it's just not going to happen. 3-1 for Manchester United. We can spot them one. That's not such a huge problem. But I think it was De Vici in the end who ended up getting a little bit of the blame for that, and Sancho's just having a really, really bad match. So you can tell he doesn't really like playing in that area. I would take him off, but we're going to keep him on a little bit longer and see if he can't get a little bit happier about this. Now, you have to remember, again, that he might not be so used to playing in this position. Here's Law with it. Over to Fernandez. Let's see if we can get one back. And his shot is unfortunately deflected. That'll be a corner for us. So we're always looking to move forward. We're always looking to get one back. Here's Fernandez with the corner. Steps back and steps up to fire in a second. Here it comes. There it is. And it ends up being headed out for a throw. And that's going to be probably the end of this one. Sancho was the throw way back in our end to De Vici in the end. Over to Sancho again. Sancho will pull this up himself, might as well. And there's the cross, looking for Law, can't find him, and ends up being Sancho over to Fernandez to Rashford. Takes a shot, and that is saved, and it will remain 3-1. I think that's going to be the final score here. When Zeglio knocks over to Casemiro, over to Rashford, can't quite find him, as that is deflected in the end, and that's the end. 3-1, we have the victory. 1.83 XG. They had a 0.73, so they did a little bit better, I think, than we would expect. Possession about half and half. So this tactic is not quite the possession-dominating tactic at this level that it was at the level before. But overall, I do think this was a very, very good attempt by us, a very, very good match. The only problem I had was Jadon Sancho and the poor rating, but I think we can stick with it. We'll see what happens here tomorrow and have a little bit of fun with that. Talk to you later. Bye.